Good morning. I see sunshine this morning. It's going to be another great day. Days are funny in that they offer you great possibilities. Every day does. And in the midst of those great possibilities, there's a lot of particles floating around in the air that aren't so great. And those particles are circumstances that come across our paths. And I was talking with a friend last night that had a circumstances this week that weren't so good, and the situation is one that's been lingering for a number of years, and it's just not good, and that's part of life, that those particles are floating around out there, and it can be difficult. I don't know. It can be really difficult. I used to listen to a lot of so-called Christian radio on my drive time. I spend more time just hanging out with people these days than that. But one of the one of the guys that I listened to back then was a guy named Ravi Zacharias, who passed away this week, and he's a brother in Christ. He's a good man. And what Ravi said one time that caught my ear, and I was a single man back then, but he was talking about how, I think in India, there were arranged marriages, and he was explaining how the parents of both the bride and the groom chose the spouse for each other. They worked it out together. In our American culture, that seemed as though it was a peculiar way to go about it. And then he described that, well, who would know your personality better than your parents? Who would know that person's personality? And wouldn't your parents desire the very best for you? So they're not going to settle for someone or situation. And then he said that his friend who was telling him about the arranged marriages said he had a question for him. It's like, so how did that all work out that you were in an arranged marriage? And he said, love is a choice, is what he told him. And I chose to love my spouse. And so when he said that, that just really impacted me, that love is a choice. And um, and we don't have arranged marriages anymore, so that we don't have that particular thing. So it doesn't fit exactly like what it was in. But here's what it comes to my mind when I think about that. Several weeks ago, I talked about Joshua and what a cool cat he was, and then after Moses died, the Israelites said, "Yeah, we'll serve you just like we served Moses." Ha! They rebelled so bad against Moses. So now I'm at the end of Joshua here in chapter where is it? Chapter 24, at the very end of Joshua, and and he's telling the Israelites, "Now therefore fear the Lord and serve Him in sincerity and truth." And here we are at the end of this thing. And put away the gods which your fathers served beyond the river and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. That's what, at the end of Joshua's time, he's telling these knuckleheads that. So then he says, and so I don't want to offend anybody. Some people take part of this and put it on a little wall hanging, which is okay, but it's not really in context. He said, if it's disagreeable in your sight to serve the Lord, choose for yourselves today whom you'll serve. So they're seriously considering serving foreign gods, and he's telling them, do it, whatever. And whether the gods of your fathers, whether the gods which your fathers served, which were beyond the river, or the gods of the Amorites in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. That's what he said. And so that little wall hanging, if it's not all in context is these knuckleheads didn't want to serve the Lord, even though they said they would. And so it was a choice. Love is a choice. Whom you're going to serve is a choice. And now here's the part that it's really going to suck. That I brought this to you on a Saturday morning or whatever. But think about this. Jesus is near the end of his life, just like Joshua was there. It's in John 16, and this is the choice you got. We all got this choice. He gets to the end of John 16, and he says, uh, he's speaking to the disciples who are following. He says, these things I've spoken to you so that in me, Jesus saying, in me, you may have peace. In the world, you have tribulation, but take courage. I've overcome the world. In Joshua, God kept telling him, take courage, take courage, take courage. And here Jesus is telling the disciples just before they get ready just before the Israelites and the Pharisees and the Romans are going to nail his butt to a cross, he's telling the disciples to take courage. And then he says, here's your choice, you may have peace, or you will have tribulation. You may have peace and you will have tribulation. We're all going to have tribulations. This particle of crap that's floating in the air. You may have peace. That's your choice today. What are you going to do? You're going to have peace in your circumstances, or are you going to let the tribulation overrun your situation? It is a hard battle. It goes on right here, and it is life, but it's good. It's good. We have the choice to live in victory today. Um, and that's my hope for you, that you live in victory and that today is a great day for you. And I hope to see y'all soon.